What is your definition of feminism, and how is it viewed compared to what it actually is?
Okay, my definition of feminism and is that women should be free to do whatever they want and not be held back because of gender. And so ultimately what that means is that gender can't be the issue. You know, it's all about choice. And what was the other part of the question?
How is it viewed compared to what it actually is?
How is it viewed? It's viewed as a very negative stereotype. And it's the radical idea that women are people too. But it gets a very bad press. And people are turned away from it. And that's evidenced in the first day of my class. When people come in and they sit there and go, well, I'll take the class, but I'm not going to do any of this feminist stuff.
Okay. In your opinion, how far have we progressed in the women's movement since the time of Susan B. Anthony?
Now, Susan B. Anthony died before we got the vote, even though she worked for a really long time. She was born in 1820, so she worked for a really long time for the enfranchisement of women. But we have birth control because of Margaret Sanger. We have women in office, as Victoria Woodhull was the first woman to run for office in 1872 for a president, and nobody knows about her. The strides that we've made, we stand on the shoulders of giants, basically. And there was a time where a woman could not have a driver's license. This is just recent. Couldn't have birth control unless they asked her husband. I mean, these are recent progresses because of the women's movement. And that it was with Betty Friedan in 1966 that she started off with the women's liberation movement, because she saw the awful things that women were going through, and they started to get together and say, you too. And so it was a consciousness raising. And since that time, there's been a lot of progress. We've got a long way to go, though. And I see it going backwards at times, just in my lifetime.
What are some of the byproducts of feminism that was not intended, good or bad?
Well, Susan Faludi speaks about a lot of things in Backlash. And she was a writer for the Wall Street Journal. And it's like all of a sudden women have these rights, and then that people start to see the progress of women getting in positions of power, and then it was started to bring the beauty myth in. And Naomi Wolf would say this was being used against women. You know, it's like they're being judged and valued on beauty in a whole nother way. So the intelligence that was brought up by the movement has been diminished because of the beauty. And what else would be a negative that just the term feminist with Rush Limbaugh saying feminazi. You know, I mean, that's a contradiction of terms. But he and the religious right have gone so strong against any woman who has an opinion, and they'll think, well, you know, she just hates men, and she can't get a man anyway. So invalidating her opinion. PMS has been brought, you know, I mean, that didn't exist before the mid-1980s. And that was brought up in a court of law, so that our bodies are used against us to invalidate us. So it's like all of these things that I think are positive have been slowly used against us. The sexual revolution, Ariel Levy wrote this wonderful book, Female Chauvinist Pigs. And women who are thinking they're feminists, they're doing it under the name of feminism, are contributing to themselves of being objects. And so this is like Girls Gone Wild in what they do for the T-shirts and for the hats. And they actually apologize for not having an orgasm on camera. And they're saying, oh, well, this is liberation. I had a student the other day argue for pornography because she just feels it's a choice if it's not hurting anybody. And these are the things in the name of feminism that pornography, no matter which way you slice it, it's demeaning to women. So it's not about explicit sex, it's about demeaning women. And if the women are up there doing it and the people are watching, it's like, well, I'm liberal-minded, I can watch this. Yeah, then what happens to you? You know. So those are just a couple.
Susan B. Anthony is considered the first feminist. In your opinion, do you think that she was also the greatest?
I can see how some people would say that she was the first feminist, but she actually wasn't. There was many people before her. Mary Wollstonecraft in the 1700s was actually the first noted feminist that we have. She started feminism in England, and she was part of the Enlightenment era when the United States was being formed, and she was very much part of that philosophy for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And she felt this should be for everybody, that there's no reason why women shouldn't have it either, and to educate our young girls and educate women to be more than a fainting arm candy or something on, something that a man is going to have as a badge of honor. And then there were the Grimke's in the early 1800s, and they were the first women to talk about women's rights, and they were the first ones to go over the United States. So long before Susan B. Anthony started her campaign, actually she listened to a speech from Lucy Stone, and that's how Susan B. Anthony got involved. And Lucy Stone was very much, she was the first woman to keep her name, and she refused to pay taxes because she refused to have taxation without representation. So I mean, we're talking about Harriet Tubman, who was, this was before Susan B. Anthony. So a lot of these people, Sojourner Truth, a lot of these people coexisted at the same time, but without any one of them, we would not have the right to vote. So she had a collaborative effort. She had all her speeches written by Elizabeth Cady Stanton. So we have so much more than what the public knows. And that's what's really cool about looking at women's history, because it is actually the history of life, and how we came to be and how our rights are.